For centuries, a powerful legend has shaped how the world sees warfare in Eastern Europe. This legend has a name: General Winter. The story goes that Russia's most formidable defender is not men, but the brutal, unforgiving cold. This narrative points to a long history of failed invasions, where mighty European armies were stopped in their tracks, not by Russian soldiers, but by plummeting temperatures, deep snow, and icy winds. A compelling tale, a warning to would-be invaders, and a source of national pride within Russia. It evokes frozen soldiers, stalled vehicles, empires crumbling across snow-covered steppes. The idea of General Winter is rooted in harsh historical events: Charles IV of Sweden, Napoleon's retreat from Moscow, Hitler's failed 1941 campaign. In each case, Winter's onset coincided with campaign collapse. The suffering was immense. Weather mattered in daily survival. But saying winter alone defeated them is an oversimplification. Cold was powerful, but rarely the sole cause. Historians point to poor planning, catastrophic logistics, and stubborn Russian resistance. Invaders were often in trouble before the first snowflake, with stretched supply lines and exhausted troops. Today in Ukraine, General Winter is invoked again. Many assume cold will favor Russia as before, but dynamics differ. Russia is the aggressor. Ukraine now holds the defender's advantages. Modern tech, advanced thermal gear, and precision drones changes winter warfare. This coming winter may not see General Winter fighting for Russia. The cold could instead become an ally for Ukraine. To see why, we start where the myth began: a winter that broke an empire, the Great Northern War. The first major appearance of General Winter on Europe's stage came during the Great Northern War. In 1707, King Charles XIV of Sweden led a formidable army into Russia to humble Tsar Peter the Great. As the Swedes advanced, Russians retreated and burned villages, crops, and even poisoned wells. Swedish plans to live off the land collapsed. Supply lines lengthened and grew vulnerable. Food dwindled, horses weakened, and the army faltered long before the snows. Then came the winter of 1708-1709, the Great Frost, the harshest in centuries. Stranded on the steppe with scant shelter and dwindling supplies, soldiers froze in their camps. Horses died in droves. Disease spread among malnourished, weakened troops. By spring, Charles's army was a shadow of itself. Of 35,000 who entered winter, about 19,000 remained. At Poltava in June 1709, the revitalized Russians crushed the exhausted Swedes. Poltava ended Sweden's great power era and marked Russia's rise. The Great Frost was critical, but logistics and scorched earth tactics sealed the army's fate. Even before deep winter, mud and hunger had done their work. A century later, another conqueror learned the same lesson. Napoleon's Grande Armée, over 400,000 men, expecting weeks, finding winter. In June 1812, Napoleon invaded Russia, expecting a swift victory near the border. The Russians retreated, drawing him deeper and burning everything behind. Heat, disease, and hunger hollowed the army long before the first frost. He reached a shattered, burning Moscow with a decimated force. In mid-October, the retreat began. Thin uniforms, broken boots, and no food. Thousands lay down in the snow and died. Winter was the brutal executioner, not the only killer. Russian partisans and Cossacks harried the retreat, picking off stragglers. When the remnants staggered out, over 90% were gone. The army was dying long before General Winter finished the job. In June 1941, Hitler launched Operation Barbarossa with over 3 million men. He expected a short war and failed to prepare for winter. Early advances were stunning, but supply lines stretched and casualties mounted. Autumn brought Rasputitsa. Roads became rivers of mud. The Blitzkrieg literally got stuck. Then the freeze. Engines refused to start, gun oil froze, and rifles seized. Fresh Siberian troops counterattacked. The frozen Wehrmacht reeled back from Moscow. Across these wars, winter amplified existing weakness. Hubris, logistics, miscalculation. Carts, trucks, and trains struggled to carry food, ammunition, and fuel across vast distances. This matters now because in Ukraine, the defender enjoys shelter and shorter lines, and new tools to punish the invader. In past invasions, Russia defended, and winter magnified that advantage. Today, roles are reversed. Defenders can use sturdy buildings, fortified cellars, and prepared positions. Warm, dry troops fight better than shivering men in tents, foxholes, and sleet. Within friendly territory, shorter routes move food, ammunition, medical supplies, and winter gear faster. Russian convoys traverse long, exposed routes in occupied zones, vulnerable to partisans, drones, and artillery. In winter, every truck of fuel and every box of ammo becomes precious and at risk. Ukraine fields layered cold-weather clothing, thermal optics, and winterized equipment from NATO partners. They have fought through prior winters and know the terrain intimately. They are prepared to fight and win in it. Before deep freeze, General Mud, Rasputitsa, Bezdorizhia, turns roads and fields into quagmires. Tanks, APCs, and artillery bog down. Stuck vehicles become targets for drones and guns. Movement funnels to paved roads. Predictable choke points that become kill zones. A hard freeze turns mud to concrete. Fields and forests reopen to heavy movement. Positions seized just before the freeze gain a major operational edge. It is that simple and that brutal. Winter visibility plus ubiquitous sensors makes surprise rare, which is why drones and precision strikes define the season ahead. Drones and precision strikes. The war in Ukraine is fought with technology Napoleon and Hitler could not imagine. From small quadcopters to long-range reconnaissance, drones make it nearly impossible to mass forces unseen. Spot, relay, strike, artillery and FPV hits arrive within minutes. Rail junctions, bridges, fuel depots, and ammunition dumps become priority targets. In winter, one destroyed bridge or blocked rail halts supplies for days. Forward Russian units risk freezing hunger and low ammunition at the edge of long lines. Ukraine builds 10 20-mile kill zones around advanced Russian positions. Around Pokrovsk and Kostiantynivka, advances stalled under relentless drone and artillery fire. The goal: isolate, starve, and force a retreat, as seen in Kharkiv and Kherson in 2022. If Russia seizes footholds in cities like Pokrovsk or Chasiv Yar before deep winter, expect brutal urban grinding under shelter. If Ukraine holds them out, winter becomes a weapon. Exposed attackers, fragile supply lines, systematic strikes. The deciding factor is logistics under pressure. General Winter is not a loyal ally. He punishes weakness and rewards preparation. This winter will test Russian resilience and supply, far more than mere endurance against cold. Grim months lie ahead, and while collapse is not guaranteed, pressure will be immense. For the first time in modern history, winter may help defend a nation on the Eastern European plain. This time, General Winter could betray Russia, and Ukraine can turn the tables. Stay with us for up-to-date reporting. Subscribe so you don't miss the winter campaign.